Hello! Here we are again, in assembly via the video. Do you remember last time we said that something was going to be different? If you look at us here, I wonder if you can spot anything that looks different. More of that later.
So we are back here in St Giles Church and something really special is happening here this weekend. We are celebrating our Harvest Festival, which is a special time when we as Christians say thank you to God. Are you good at remembering to say thank you? I bet you are. I wonder if right now you could all have a go at saying thank you to your teachers. After my count of 3, we're all going to look over at your teachers and say thank you. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you! Well done, that was excellent. I wonder if we know any more ways of saying thank you. Nick, do you know any ways of saying thank you?
I know a way of saying thank you with no words at all, just with actions. It's very simple. Fingers to your lips and then down. You want to try? After 3? 1, 2, 3.
Wow, thank you, Nick. That was a really special way of saying thank you. And Rachel, do you know any ways of saying thank you?
Well, we could say thank you through our actions. So I know some of you say thank you to your teachers and the adults in your school by drawing them a really lovely picture, or by writing them a really lovely note. Sometimes you can say thank you as simple as something as a smile. And I wonder if sometimes you say thank you at home by your actions of doing something nice for somebody. Maybe making a drink for somebody, or helping to tidy the house.
Wow, thank you, Rachel. That's another good way of saying thank you. Wow, there are so many ways of saying thank you. And this weekend, here in church, we're going to be saying thank you in another way. We are going to be bringing some of the gifts that we have, and we're going to be bringing them here to church so that they can go and be shared out with people who need them. It's our Harvest Festival. A festival is like a celebration, and Harvest is thinking about all the really good gifts that we have and saying thank you to God for them. This weekend, some people might just bring one thing with them to share. And other people might bring a small box of things to share. It doesn't matter whether your gift is big or small. The important thing about our celebration this weekend is that you share some of what you have.
And that reminds me of a Bible story that Michelle is going to tell us all now.
While Jesus was doing his work, healing and preaching and teaching and telling people stories, people loved to listen to him. Even when Jesus went to Jerusalem, he carried on telling those stories, even though he knew his life might be in danger. Jesus made time to talk to people. He spoke in the temple, and what he said changed people's lives. As Jesus spoke, many people listened. Sometimes the people listening were Jesus' disciples, the people who followed him. And sometimes there were people who were in the temple. Jesus told them all about what God is like and how God wanted them to live their lives in a loving way. Watch out for people who are supposed to be experts in God's law, Jesus said. They like to walk around wearing clothes that make them look important. And if you go out into the marketplace, you'll see them walking around, hoping everyone will notice how important they are. They love to have the most important seats in the synagogue, and they love to be the guest of honour at special parties. But, said Jesus, they cheat women whose husbands have died and trick them into giving them their homes. Then they try to make themselves look good by saying long and fancy prayers. But this just makes God sad. Then Jesus stopped talking. He looked up and saw something happening in the temple. The disciples and the listeners looked up too. They wanted to see what Jesus was looking at. Jesus was watching as the rich people came close to the offering box. Everyone watched as they put their offerings into the box. So much money made such a loud noise. Then a poor widow came into the temple. A widow is a woman whose husband has died. And back in those days, the husband would have been the person who was allowed to earn money. So widows back in the time of Jesus would have been very, very poor. The widow moved closer to the offering box. And she put in her 2 small coins. The widow's money made hardly any noise at all. Jesus turned to the disciples and the people who had been listening. Here is the truth, he said. The widow gave by far the most today. The rich men have plenty, and they give only what they don't need. The widow is very poor, but she gave everything she had. What a great and generous giver she was. Jesus knew that people listened to the things he said. He knew that people might get mad at him for telling the truth, because the rich people were very powerful. But he wanted to show people the truth about how God wanted them to live their lives. So he bravely spoke the truth. The widow's generosity in giving all she had was so much more important than those who gave only what they didn't need.
Thank you, Michelle. What a wonderful story that is. I wonder, everybody, your favourite part of the story is. What does the story say to you? What does it teach you? And I wonder what the story says about God.
Now, going all the way back to the beginning and linking back to the last assembly did, I'm going to ask you the question again, what is different? And I'll give you a clue, it's something to do with Michelle. What looks different about Michelle? She got a new hairdo? She wearing different shoes? Or maybe something to do with round the neck? Well spotted. Michelle, tell us more.
Yes, you're right. I'm wearing a different shirt. It's a shirt that's the same as Revd Rachel and Revd Nick wear. And that's because 2 weeks ago I was ordained here in St Giles Church. It means that I'm going to get to use all of my gifts and my skills to serve God and to serve all of the people here in St Giles. And I am so excited about the chance to do that. The brilliant thing is that we all have our own gifts and skills. Some of us are brilliant at smiling. Some of us are brilliant at looking after people. Some of us are really helpful. Some of us are really, really good at sports or being creative. We've all got our own gifts and talents and skills. And our job is to use the things that we are good at, all of the things that make us special, to help other people, to share those gifts and talents, to make the world a better place.
So our challenge to you this week is for you to think about, what are you really good at? What are you brilliant at? And how can you share that with people around you? How can you make the lives of those around you better by sharing what you're good at, what you have to help them?
If you'd like to join me, you'd be very welcome to be still for a prayer. Dear God, we thank you that you make each one of us different and special, all with our own gifts and talents. We ask that this week you would help us to use those gifts and talents to help the people around us. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much for joining us. We are really looking forward to seeing you again really soon. And next time, we will be in a different part of the church. I wonder where we'll be. Bye. Bye.